This is a discussion of the reliability of the Kensington Expert Mouse, a oddly named trackball that stands out from the market because of a couple of reasons. First, it's the only trackball that's commonly readily available that has the size that it does. It's a very large trackball. And second off, the trackball is sloped back towards your hand, which is really in contrast to most designs, and especially the Logitech designs that seem to want to be either flat or sloped forward. Now, one of the things that's odd about this particular device is that it's quite expensive. It's probably one of the most expensive trackballs you can buy, at least in the regular markets. And so because of that, you might think that it's a premium device built to last. And for that reason, I decided to buy a used one to see if I liked it. And I figured, hey, it's premium, it'll last. It'll probably last the first person a decade, it'll last me a decade. However, they seem to actually be quite chintzy and prone to failure. What you see here are two that I've purchased used on eBay, and there's a third one that I purchased, and all three of them have a overlapping set of failure points that really make these used ones quite a gamble. So first, let's talk about the buttons. So this button here, the primary button, tends to fail. This one here, you can see it's just completely broken. But typically what happens is that the micro switch that's underneath the button starts to become intermittent. That was the big flaw of the first one of these that I purchased. Obviously, this has gone way beyond intermittent. Now, it is possible to take them apart and replace the micro switch if you're handy with a soldering iron, although micro switches can be pretty hard to replace because they have at least 3 pins coming out of them, which makes them very hard to desolder. The other way in which these tend to fail is maybe more surprising and harder to fix. And we'll look at this one because it makes it very easy to see of the two. So if you look very carefully, this is a bearing that the trackball rests on. They're called ruby bearings. I don't think they're really made of rubies, but they do have a nice red color like rubies. There should be 3 of them. But if you look carefully, you'll notice that it's missing one of them. Now you might think, oh, that's surprising. How likely is that to happen? Well, can you spot 3 rubies here? No, only 2. So there you go. Both of these have this problem. And having looked at lots of listings online, it seems to be very common that it's missing one of them. Now maybe you'd hope they aren't really necessary. No, they really are. The rolling resistance goes up quite significantly. It's hard to photograph, but the trackball gets scratched, and it's just not a very pleasant experience if you don't have all 3 rubies. Now, it's conceivable if you could get a replacement source, you might be able to pop another one in there. It does look like it's just sort of held in by tension. Maybe that's why they come out so easily. But it's a really surprising point of failure on such a premium device. So to summarize, the micro switches, which allow the buttons to work, and the bearings seem to be both very low quality on these Kensington Expert mice, which really makes you wonder why they should cost $50 or more. In contrast, I've had several Logitech trackballs, and although I don't like the ergonomics of the design of those trackballs, I've never had any of those sorts of problems with them. I've also had some Sanwa trackballs. They seem to be sort of in between. The micro switches do seem to wear out in those. However, it is possible if you're handy with a soldering iron to replace the micro switch. I don't know that it's so easy to replace these bearings. So, yes, you can save money by buying one of these used, but be prepared to send it back and make sure that if you do buy a used one, it's from a seller who's going to not give you a hard time about returning a faulty one. All right, good luck, everyone.